Welcome, everybody. My name is Jay, and you are listening and watching the Culture Exchange Podcast, Episode 2. Today, I just want to talk about what has passed this last week, which is Juneteenth. And for the people not in the know, Juneteenth is June 19th. It is the day that the last slaves in Texas, I guess they received word that slavery had ended. So that is our day. So when I say our day, I mean African Americans that are descendants of those slaves. That is our day. That is our day of freedom. That is the day that our ancestors received their freedom. And I believe with the current events going on that Juneteenth has more of an importance this time around because of the riots. Well, I don't want to say riots. I want to say protests of George Floyd's death. Actually, not a death. He was murdered by a Caucasian cop in Minneapolis, Minnesota. As a people, we have to let people know that African Americans as a whole, our history is significant because we built this country from the ground up for free, and we were forced to because we had forced labor. We as a people want to show America rather than tell them how important we are. And if it wasn't for us, there wouldn't be a lot of modern conveniences as far as inventions go. There wouldn't be any air conditioning. There wouldn't be any refrigeration. There wouldn't even be peanut butter, man. There wouldn't even be peanut butter without George Washington Carver. So being African American in America, at least for me, it feels like a double-edged sword. So we're taken from the motherland, the continent of Africa, and we are captured by Europeans. We're brought to North America, Mexico, South America, and even the islands in the Caribbean. And we are forced to build infrastructures for these countries and nations. And fast forward 150 years later after slavery is abolished, keep in mind 150 years is maybe 2 people ago, maybe even 3. And now we are being murdered. We are being prejudged by the way we look, by the color of our skin, and we are hated. We are hated by people that don't look like us, and it sucks. It sucks that to a point where if I'm driving and I see a cop, even if I've done nothing wrong, I think he's gonna pull me over for just being black. I drive a decent car, and if a cop pulls me over, that's my biggest fear. Because if you're African American in this country, you have to, what goes through your mind when you get pulled over is, am I going to be killed by this cop? Am I going to be murdered? Am I going to be next? That runs through your mind every single time. Even if you don't get pulled over and a cop is just behind you, just cruising along, you're like, oh my goodness, if I do something wrong and get pulled over, I'm going to be murdered. That's not okay. I don't know where that would be okay. That's not okay anywhere on earth. But in America, it seems that it is tolerable and accepted. And since the murder of George Floyd, we can no longer sit silently and accept that our brothers and our sisters, black or brown or yellow, are being murdered by police officers in broad daylight sometimes and on video. Do you understand that they are being videotaped murdering an African American person, and it's put on social media, and that still does, it's not a reason for them to stop. It doesn't deter them from stopping the murder. It's mind-blowing. And I haven't brought myself up to even watching any of these videos because I do not want to be desensitized to these types of things. I'm outraged, and I want everyone that doesn't understand what's going on now. I want you guys to understand that it's difficult being black in America, and it makes me feel like it's illegal to be black in America. And that's a problem. That is a problem because We built this country and we don't get any of the respect for it. We haven't even been paid for it. It's been free labor for 150 years since it ended. It's free labor. Slavery lasted a very long time, but it just recently ended, and we haven't been paid for our labor. How would you feel if you woke up every single day for a week and worked 8 hours, and when payday comes around, your paycheck is zero? Let that sink in for a minute. Your pay is zero. You work 40 hours that week and you don't get paid. That's not okay. But I digress. I could go on for hours talking about these things, but we have to move on to the next topic, which is COVID-19. Oh boy. Let me take a pull of the hookah first. Okay. With COVID-19, we are all affected by it. No matter where you live, you are going to be affected by COVID-19. So COVID-19, it's called the novel coronavirus. And for the people that don't understand where the 19 is from, it is the year that this novel coronavirus was discovered. So that is where you get COVID-19 for the uninformed and the people in power that are also uninformed. COVID-19 is a viral infection that primarily causes an inflammatory infection in the lungs, which makes it very difficult to breathe. And I wanted to make a point saying that if you are out there not wearing your mask and you think it's all hunky-dory because COVID-19 isn't on the news anymore and everyone's focusing on the protests for George Floyd, you are the problem as to why we are experiencing a spike in surge in cases. And people think the first wave is over, and people think what's coming up now is a second wave, and it's not. It's still the first wave of COVID-19. And we have to really be cognizant of what we do when we're out in public, who we interact with, and just think before you act. Everyone that's watching and hearing this, think before you act. So if you go into a store and you don't have a mask on, man, please don't be surprised if you receive subpar customer service or none at all, because some businesses won't even allow you to enter their front door without a mask on. And as of today, June 26th, the governor of Nevada, Steve Sisolak, he made it law. Actually, he made it to where every business can refuse service to a customer legally if they're not wearing a mask, and it is absolutely necessary that you wear a mask outside or inside if it is outside of your household. It is mandatory. You want to know why? It's because the cases in Nevada are spiking. They are spiking. So you have to really think. Well, you don't have to really think. It's the reason why you wear a mask is so you don't infect someone else other than you, because you can be asymptomatic, which means that you don't actually have any of the symptoms of COVID-19 and still be infectious. You can still infect other people, including someone in your family, your mom, your dad, grandparents, which all of them probably have compromised immune systems depending on what their age is. And people don't think about that. They think they feel great. They don't feel like they have the virus, and those are the people that are asymptomatic, and those may be the people that are spreading this virus even more. So a solution for this, a real solution, is getting tested. Get tested. That is the most important thing you could do, because it's free, number one. And as of today, as of current time, testing sites are readily available. So here in Nevada, the big place to get tested is the UNLV campus, and the tests are free. So what is your excuse for not going to get tested for COVID-19? Do you want to see your parents, your grandparents get sick and possibly pass away from this stuff? Or do you want to just play it safe, wear your mask, go get tested? If you're negative, still wear a mask so you don't get infected. If you are positive, still wear a mask and try to limit your exposure to others if you test positive. It is that simple. That is how we beat this virus. So I don't know why people are upset about wearing a mask inside of a business. It's their business. And if you don't wear a mask, you will not receive service. It is simple as that. So keeping on the topic of COVID-19, one of the bigger news stories is that a comedian named D.L. Hughley, he fainted. He actually fainted during one of his stand-up shows right in front of a crowd. So he fainted, went to the hospital, got a lot of tests done, and come to find out he is positive for COVID-19. That's crazy to me because in some of the interviews he's given, especially with I watched the one where Trevor Noah interviews him, and he says, or D.L. Hughley says, he didn't feel anything. He didn't feel any of the symptoms, no loss of smell, no loss of taste. He felt great the day before, and right before he went on stage, he wanted his opening act to run a little bit longer so he could collect himself and feel better because he was feeling under the weather during the opening act of his show. But the opener didn't get the message to keep kind of trying to go longer for his bit, and DL went up. He said a few words. They were pretty much gibberish, and then he passes out right on stage in front of a crowd of people. That in itself should show you how serious COVID-19 is. It is not safe yet. Please don't get it twisted. It is not safe yet. I watch a little bit of TV. I watch a little bit of Netflix from time to time, and I saw one of the best movies of the year, in my opinion. It is called The Five Bloods. That is available on Netflix and just happens to be a Spike Lee joint. It is one of my favorite movies of the year because it just goes to show you, well, if you haven't watched it, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But the gist of it is you have a group of African American men that fought in the Vietnam War, and one of them got shot and died. That character is played by the Black Panther guy. I forgot what his name is. Chadwick Boseman. That is the guy. And as the remaining survivors of that little group ages, they have a reason to come back to Vietnam. And oh man, that movie's so good. I can't even explain it without spoiling it for you. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch. It's 2.5 hours long. Yeah, I get it. It's a long movie, but give it a shot. Sit down with a drink and just relax and vibe out to the movie. It's really amazing. I loved it, and it kind of makes you think. It also shows the racism that these soldiers experienced when they came back to America after fighting for their country. So you mean to tell me I volunteered to enlist in the army? I go fight overseas. I come back home. I get treated like crap. I went to go fight for this country. You should treat me with the ultimate respect. They show a decent part of that in the movie as well, which I think was very important. I want to use this as a catalyst to head into our next subject, which I've been thinking about for a long time, a very, very long time, even before all of these protests occurred, is if I can get the word right, I've been thinking about repatriating to Africa. So what repatriating means is that you're returning to Africa as a whole, because the African Americans that are in America right now and were born here, we don't really know what country in particular that we're from. Yeah, we can take a 23andMe and get a DNA result, but we don't know exactly where our ancestors are from. So repatriating to Africa has been a big focus on me for 2020. And I've been looking at a few countries. Ghana has been one of them. the Gambia. I've been also tinkering with the idea of moving to Senegal as well, just because the singer Akon, he got, I want to say, $2 or $3 billion to create his own city in Senegal, and that is mind blowing to see someone famous like Akon investing back in Africa, where he's from. He's from Senegal, and Akon City is going to be insane. So it's going to have the proper infrastructure to support a good population, and it's also going to be, the city's going to be ran on a cryptocurrency called Acoin. Acoin is, if you don't know about it already, cryptocurrency is digital money, and it's very comparable to Bitcoin. It's decentralized, so there's no Federal Reserve keeping all of the money together. It's purely just a digital currency, and I think that is such a genius idea to do a decentralized currency in your own city, in your own country, on your own continent, because none of the racists are going to come to Africa. If you think about it, none of the racist people from America or from Europe are going to hop on a plane for 14 to 20 hours and come to Africa. They're just not going to do it. So that's the reason why I've thought about going back to Africa, because when I was a little bit smaller, my mom experienced a lot of racism. I want to say it like that. Yeah, it's she told me what happened to her when she went into a Quiznos restaurant. So she goes into the Quiznos, they don't make her sandwich right. She complains, and the owner of the Quiznos says to her, "Go back to Africa, or go back where you came from." Saying that to a black person is the second most racist thing that you could say. But as I have grown and have learned of that experience that my mother had, I think that I know that I don't want to be in America anymore. I don't want to live here. Why would you want to live somewhere where the people in power dislike you or dislike people that look like you? It doesn't make any sense to live here anymore. So I'm just leaving. All right, so the next topic I want to speak about is something that I've viewed at my day job, and they have something like an event every few months. It's called Talking with Trailblazers, and they had a special one for Juneteenth. Yeah, don't get me started on corporations having feelings and caring about Juneteenth or black people at all. But they interviewed Professor Ibram Kendi. I didn't know who this brother was. So before, or as things were progressing with the Talking with Trailblazers, I was looking this gentleman up. He's legit one of the most intelligent and well thought out interviews I've really ever seen from an African American person. He took questions from a very nervous looking Caucasian young lady that is high up in our company, and he poised himself very well, and I love that we can show other people who may not know of the struggles we experience being black, and just putting them into words that are so classy, no harsh language, no cursing, just a next level vernacular that anyone can understand that may or may not be African American. That was one of my favorite interviews of the year, especially with Talking with Trailblazers. And yeah, that gentleman, he did that interview for my day job pro bono, so for free. He did the interview because he usually charges in the six figures to do a talk, and just to get a little bit of that gentleman's time and his thoughts, I will really take that in and use that information to advance myself and help my people also advance in this world, because it's tough. It's tough to be black in America and also be successful, because you have so many hurdles that other groups of people do not have. Okay, that is my time here with the Culture Exchange podcast. If you are watching me on YouTube, please look up the Culture Exchange Podcast. I will try to have a link down in the description box below. I usually make an episode every week. I try to, my hardest, just a little quick, little 20, 30-minute podcast. And once the podcast is up for a few days, I do post the video to go along with the podcast as well. And I just appreciate the support that you guys have given me thus far. More content to come as well. My name is Las Vegas Jay. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.